So I'll give you a presentation today. Not too long a presentation, but something that will hopefully give you a glimpse of what we are working on as a team. So that's the presentation is on behalf of all the R&D, the product team. So let's start. Next slide, Vera, please. With just as an introduction, and this is something that I think Chris and Thibaut talked a lot about it, and I will probably not get deeper into that because you are feeling the pain, right? So as a performance engineer, as an SRE engineer, as a DevOps engineer, whatever your title is, we know as a vendor that you have to face a couple of difficulties yourself, right, within your day-to-day job. Such as environments that are more and more complex, more and more distributed. Just as a little example, I saw yesterday, I think MongoDB, who announced the support now of multiple clouds, or something where you can, because Lambda functions on AWS, you would mix that with AI stuff on the Google Cloud, and maybe with a little bit of BI from Microsoft, right? And that's really where we are going, I think, all together, right? Hybrid, multi-cloud all together, and at the same time you still have your applications on-prem, right? So it's a difficult jump. I was in your shoes not too long ago. I'm coming really from production. I'm a production guy as well, starting as a network engineer. I've done a lot of things from a development standpoint, from a release standpoint. Chris, when you were talking about this design part and understanding what are the performance mandates in order to make things right from the beginning, that's something I was working on just 6 months ago. And at some point, what I said myself is that everybody is talking about DevOps, everybody is talking about DevSecOps. But really, when you look at the market in terms of performance engineering, it's not really something that is widely well marketed at that point, right? And I thought that maybe we can all together make a change here, right? You guys as a performance engineer, because the business needs you in order to make to do something successful in terms of digital transformation. And us as a vendor, right, to help you on your day-to-day in order to make your job easier. So that was my mindset when I joined 4 months ago. In the meantime, I had the chance to talk to a lot of people. So I don't see you face to face now, but I'm pretty sure I already had discussions. I personally learned a lot. And our objective as a company, and I'm just quoting, I think, Rajita, what you said, you talked about one umbrella. And that's really what we want to do. It's providing one umbrella for performance engineering that would, mix a lot of different areas. And Vera, you can go to the next slide. And our, from a product standpoint, our strategy is really in 3 major pillars that are responding, one-to-one to what Thibaut told us at the beginning. So the first one is about design excellence. I'll dig into this just later on, but that's really about making sure that the performance test is representative of the user path, right? It's all about integration to the ecosystem, and it's all about automation. So then we delivered and we'll continue delivering on the runtime of your choice. We believe that you don't have to use several tools. What we want to bring is one platform that will help you to perf test all your application wherever they live, right? Would it be on-prem, in the cloud, on the private cloud, public cloud, or maybe on the moon in the future? We don't know. So that's something that will be we are really eager to continue delivering on. The third one is it's all about data, right? I think I heard that a lot during the different presentations. It's not so much about running the load anymore, but it's about gathering the right data in context and being able to answer to questions, right? It's all about augmentation. It's all about knowledge, adding knowledge to the run that you do, and augmenting that with other type of tools. and I'll dig into this one later on as well. So Vera, if you move to the next slide, I have so the same architecture diagram three times. So the first one is at the design level. So you know that we have a recording that is already state of the art and that will continue improving. I'll tell you how we do that in the next slide. And we also continue integrating with functional tools, right? We just released another version of Tosca recently. We have the Selenium integration, and we'll continue doing that just in order to make sure that you spend more time analyzing than time designing. Yeah, so sorry, I meant to change that. So up to 50% of time. So the numbers are changing. It's somehow between 30 and 50% of time that is spent designing, depending on the stage, the complexity of the project. Whatever the number is, it's too high, right? Because spending to design versus time spending to analyze, right? So our mission is to decrease the time you are spending designing in order to make sure that you spend more qualitative time designing, analyzing. So how we do that? So we have, I would say, three different threads going on. So the first one is about always improving the framework that we have, that you probably know in LLGUI, that we use, and that is now very proven on a set of packaged application, on a set of desktop application and APIs and the web application and more. So what we have an initiative that is about building some auto extraction rules for a couple of topics, that could be found out automatically, such as timestamp, such as a unique identifier from the client side. So that's one of the threads. It's a practical one, but it will help in decreasing the time to design. The second one, and that's the one that I have under in square here, that's an initiative that the product management announced in the past, and I want to tell you now, what we did about that. We call it feedback from production. We give it a little name that I will disclose just later on. And that's about leveraging the traffic from production, but not only from production, right? From pre-prod, from all the, the different type of environment that you have between development and production in order to automate the variabilization, the generation of user paths and so on. So we did pretty substantial progress on that. So more on the next slide. And then we also realize that more and more applications are doing some some work on the client side, and that we need at some point to have to do more on the browser side, right? And this is also something we are heavily starting to have a look at, how we can combine a protocol approach and a browser-based approach, especially to ease the design of the heavy JavaScript application or this kind of application on the client side. So you can move to the next slide. So three pillars here, right? So the one I will be focusing on now is the one on the middle that is about feedback from production. So the little name we gave here is Rachel. So as in Blade Runner, for some of you who I'm pretty sure the movie. So Rachel is a replicant in the movie. So a synthetic being, so a human being who reproduces the behavior of humans, right? So what we want to do with this this approach is take into account the feeds that our end users are doing, right, from a functional standpoint, and turn these into synthetic transactions, right? So the way we do that, so we started working on the prototype that is now pretty much advanced. So we are still at a lab level. So what we do is that we capture the traffic that is coming from production. We anonymize this one. We understand very well as vendor, and we'll have more discussion with you about what is really needed here in terms of anonymization related to security and to the data security. So then we store that data, and then we apply a couple of algorithms. So some of them are just standard one with the regular expressions. Others are, machine learning type of, and I'll give you a couple of examples later on, in order to extract things like identification of the sessions, variabilization, identification of the population, the load policy. And the more you go down the list here, the more values it brings for sure, right? But the more complex it is as well, right? So getting to synthetic user paths, to transactions, or to full scenario, this is requiring a combination of different type of algorithms and so on. So you can, and down the road, so we are, currently starting with building our own recorder, for prototype and lab. But then down the road, what we want to do, and I think this is also something that Chris, has been talking about a lot. It's using the service meshes out there, right? The console, Linkerd, all the service meshes. We understand that more and more this kind of observability at the traffic level is becoming native. Even at the Kubernetes level now, it's becoming more and more native, and it's becoming a commoditization. And I was sure this one I couldn't pronounce as a name. So so that means that this is really something we are taking very seriously. We have staffed, so you can go to the next slide, Vera. So that slide that is named Rachel. So we have staffed internally that in data science in order to to release and to execute on the plan that you see below. So on top, these are the different the different steps: data cleaning, extraction of variables, population detection, user path generation, doing statistic on load policy and transaction detection. That's what we are able to do for the moment, all the way to transaction detection. We are not yet there, to do more complex scenarios generation. We are working on that. The way we do that is that, our goal is not just to release a framework, right, in order for you to build the rules. It's to provide something that is, already good enough in a lab and that can be fine-tuned on site. So we use, for example, NLP, natural language processing, for variable extraction. We use clustering techniques, for population detection. And then sometimes we just use standard regexes, right? Because it's working just like that. So as of today, we have succeeded to getting up to the transaction detection level for a set of applications in our lab, including CRM and ERPs, these kind of business layers. And what we are planning for is to open the door for preview sometime the first quarter 2021. So this is definitely something. So we really want to make it serious, because we want to make it state of the art, something that is working in your environment. So we will reach out to you, through our people on the field, to ask, who's interested in helping us doing these kind of things. What I wanted to tell you also is that we know that these topics are they are really sensitive in terms of security. So the module that we are planning is self-contained. So it will be residing within your organization. It will be a Docker or something like that. That will never go out. It will be self-contained. And what we'll be providing is a set of rules, the framework to make it all happen, and then means to fine-tune this one on your premise. So I'm really happy. I'm just here for 4 months, so that was a lot of work on the background to get to these kind of things. So for me, it's a pleasure, to be in a position to announce that. We are not fully there yet. You can move to slide number 8, user path, population, and identification. We are not fully there yet. There's still some work. Data science is a long journey. It's not one that you deliver in 3 months. We started that almost 1 year ago. We are still working very hard on that. We have a team that is dedicated. We'll do more, and we take it very seriously to bring that to market. So that's my first pillar, right? It's all about designing, and it's all about trying to innovate as much as we can in order to make sure that you spend most of your time doing something that is of higher value than designing scripts, right? And for user paths. Okay, number two. So pillar number two, you can move to the next slide. So that's runtime of your choice. So this one I would say is a little bit more standard because we delivered a lot of things here. So you can right away move to slide number 10, Vera, please. So one of the major milestones that we reached this year, end of the summer, is collaboration with the workspaces and allowing you to use the same umbrella, the same platform for your different type of teams who are testing in doing performance engineering or performance testing. So we know from discussion with you and your teams that there's a lot going on, right, on the end user computing that is way different from app dev, right? And that there are a lot of traditional, so we don't call them legacy, right? It's traditional Oracle Forms, WebSphere, and we have modern application systems, microservices. We have business processes. Everything is linked together. We have IoT in the mix here. I think Chris did a very good job in describing the complexity. So our, and you can go to the next slide. Our job here, our mission, is to provide as much content, and by content I mean technology support, as we can. What you'll see moving forward is that in order to be able to keep up with the speed of everything that is released, because it's still very complex for us to handle everything. We'll divide the technology by group. The group one will be something that is strategic, and these are the technologies or the vendor for which we will be proactive on. We are turning, and I think I have a slide later on. From a monitoring standpoint, a lot of dynamic things now with integration of Prometheus. That's something that is strategic for us, right? So we'll always try to keep up with the speed of delivery of these technologies and try to be as close as possible to the delivery dates of our partners or the technologies. For the second one, active, that's something that is actively supported. We'll be as supportive with these technologies than we are with the product through our CSM and support. But it's not something where we will try to be proactive. We'll not look at the latest releases and be proactive. We'll do that on demand for sure, right? And this is all moving, right? So we might at some point have some technologies that are moving to strategic layer and so on. And then there is a third one, and this is something we want to push more and more. And I want also to thank you, because I know that a lot of you have contributed already to that. So that's about collaboration, right? So it's an open source. You might be familiar with that, GitHub that we have out there with scripts, custom actions, for a lot of different technologies. I didn't put everything here, right? Just a couple of examples. It's not something that is officially supported. Also, we do things about that, right, in order to make sure that it keeps, it's kept up to date. So what we have on the radar, because you're likely, wonder, what we are working on. So I don't commit on delivering everything, but what we are working on is gRPC. So there's a lot of requests for that. I think we all know the reason for that, right? That's the continuation of HTTP, HTTP2, and the rest. We have a look at what's going on the desktop side from an RDP and VMware standpoint. So we cover Citrix now, as you probably all know, since this year. With the COVID, we suspected that we will have more and more requests on this front, and it's the case. We have more and more. So that's something that is on our radar. Just blank RDP or I don't remember the name of the protocol behind Horizon. These kind of things. So then I have RTE also. So we have a look at that. We know that this is very important, especially for you guys, for the US market, to support the different flavors of RTE. So it's something also that we are, at least starting to study and figuring out if that's something we can start delivering. We don't know yet if it's something we'll put in group 3 to start and then move to group 2 later on. But you'll hear more as we enter 2021. So that's in terms of technologies. So then we have a couple of package apps also. So we are working a lot on Salesforce currently, and especially on the newer flavors of Salesforce, the Lightning part that is more dynamic on the client side and that requires different type of approaches. So that's something we also put some focus on in order to keep all these technologies the more current the more current as possible, so that you can benefit from them. Okay, next slide, please. So this slide is mainly about infrastructure. So infrastructure, we did a lot already this year. So now, whatever, pretty much the flavor of your load infrastructure, we support them pretty much all. Like server, VMs for sure. We do what we call internally dynamic infrastructure, which is all the flavors of GKE, EKS, Cube, OpenShift, AWS, ECKS, the Docker flavor. So what we'll be doing in next year is a closer integration between our NeoLoad cloud platform, NCP. So that's the SaaS part, right, where you select the regions, from the different cloud vendors you want to initiate your load test from. So there will be a closer integration between NCP and NL Web, because we want, our strategy is really to push NL Web, the platform, as the umbrella that Rajita was talking about just before. From an integration standpoint, we are focusing a lot on the CLI now. So number 13, next one. So for longer term customers, you might have heard about the Jenkins the plugin and so on. So we are more and more moving towards client-oriented CLI, and CLI is pretty much an abstraction on top of our public APIs in order to provide our CI integrations. So that's the repository that Paul on the phone here did a great job working hands in hands with development to make that happen, and sometimes to do a couple of things faster even that we can do at the product level, which is great. So we have this interactive mode. The vision, the philosophy from inception was to really simplify running command line for SDET and for DevOps people, having a way to integrate, variabilize that, integrate that with your CI. We'll continue doing that. We'll tackle all the CIs of the market. I think we almost cover a great set of them. In case you have some requests, just come back to us. We'll continue covering at least the top 5, 6, and then get deeper. So that's it, NeoLoad CLI. So here my message is mainly that this is the way forward, right? So this NeoLoad CLI at the NL Web platform level, that's where we put our efforts and in terms of new features, in terms of innovation. We are almost now on par in terms of features and APIs. I think we still have a couple of things to do, and we are embracing an API ISO approach, right? So at least having API at the same time than the features is our objective. And then as soon as you have the API, it's opened and you can play around it, integrate with your pipelines through our CLI, or you can consume the the API natively if that's preferred approach for you. Okay, so that was my second pillar. So first one around design, second one around platform and runtime and collaboration. And then the third pillar is about the most important one, right? I keep it for the end. It's about analysis. So you can move to the next slide. So here, so down the road, so here also, we know very well, I mean, based on all the discussion we had with you, that we are living in an ecosystem, right? That you are using AI ops tool, InfluxDB, Grafana, Splunk, and others. Right? Just put a couple of examples here. BI tools that your corporation have sometime already invested in BI tools, right? It might be difficult to just have a BI tool or something specific for performance engineering. So our and then for most advanced customers, what I have on the bottom is R, whatever that is, but it's about augmentation, right? Having you or on the customer side directly putting some level of intelligence from a machine learning perspective on top of the data. So we know that you are already doing that, right? You are not waiting for us. So what we are doing, and we started that with 7.6, is opening data at, I mean, it was already the case before, way before, but the data was aggregated, and performance engineer they like raw, you like raw data, right? So that's something I learned here joining the company. So we have released a raw data API. We'll continue doing that, and doing different flavors of a raw data API, so that you can compute your data statistics, your percentiles, your whatever you want to do on your end, your flame graphs, your the little magic you do on your end, directly out of the platform. So the value addition that we want to provide as a vendor is to make sure that all the data we expose to you is sanitized, it's clean, it's in context, in terms of timestamp and so on, and that you don't really have to pay too much attention about the data quality, about everything, the hard part of the data analysis, or the hard, I mean by difficult, but you spend more time about putting your logic and your intelligence on top of that. If I would summarize our mission and goal from a platform standpoint, is exactly this one. So next slide. So I just took a couple of examples. One of them, and we'll do much more than that. Chaos engineering a lot more, but I just wanted to to stick to something that is you already do day to day. Dynamic monitoring. So more and more, we'll turn everything to dynamic, right? And currently we are not quite there yet. We are dynamic, to some extent, because now we can understand the number of pods, for example, and graph the charts at start of the run. We cannot do that during the run at that stage. That's something we are releasing beginning of next year. Prometheus was our first move. So then all the flavors of monitoring that that are native in NeoLoad will turn these dynamics as well. So we are working with a customer currently in a vertical space, in the insurance vertical, that is about IIS, and that is about Windows, and they will help us get dynamic there, and then we'll kind of deliver on dynamic charts, dynamic metrics and monitors down the road. Auto scaling events. So that's something. So we understand that being able to gather events from either chaos engineering experiences or just from auto scaling, events in environment is something that you need in your charts in order to make your analysis. So we just opened a custom event API in 7.6, so that fall timeframe, September timeframe. We will continue doing that. We'll have another release by end of the year, and we'll start. So our partner team will start building some native integrations with a couple of vendors, including Gremlins. So we are going, chaos engineering, auto scaling, and gathering all these events and putting these in context with the data from the load testing, the data from the monitoring, and then I think it's Rajita. You talked about Dynatrace, and that's I mean, this Dynatrace integration was something that a lot of people really like because it's very deep integration. It's not just like a marketing thing. It's really deep in bi-directional integration, and that's what we want to do, right? We want to help you get to the roots of the root cause using not only our tools. We know that we'll not invest in tracing, but what we'll do is integrate with the right vendors in order to help you get to the root cause of the performance degradation. So that was just an example. The direction we are taking exactly the one that that we have here, that you see here, more dynamic things, understanding events that come, out of the environment, being able to send out events, bi-directional, having, data layer that is sanitized, so that you can only, care about what's out. We'll also start building native integration, and I think that's my last slide. Yeah, if you go to the next slide, that's 16. So here, I just wanted to show you this one because that's a major development we did at the platform level in terms of dashboards and reports, so that now you can use the platform also, the same way you were doing that on the client in NL GUI, in order to graph your different graphs. You have now, you see that the errors, SLA, transactions, and we'll be adding more and more. We'll get to a template level. We'll give you the possibility to extract data in CSV directly if you want to do that, to export charts, because we know that some of you are only using the PNG and put that in PowerPoint. So we have a lot going on there in terms of exposing the data, in terms of collaboration. And the reason we do that, and I think Chris, you were saying that, is that down the road, performance engineering is really something now that is at every stage of the CI/CD pipeline, right? So what we want to do is give you a way to spread out, the message, and spread out, the outcome of your work to the other groups within within your organization. And my last slide, number 17. So that's just to give you, again, it's just an example with Splunk. We'll do that with Grafana. We'll do that with a lot more with native integration. The Splunk one is already existing. So this one is available. The other ones, we are working on it very, very fast, so that, you can consume that. That's mainly about exposing all the data we have into your tools, into the IEOps tools you use, that are part of your value stream. And that's the reason we are, the product team, waking up every morning, and we are all passionate because this field is complex, but at the end, very, very interesting because it mixes everything. So that's it on my side. So I hope I gave you some information that were of interest for you, and we are opening now.